Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Infinite Regression. Oh, man. It never ceases to amaze how infinite and how regressy this thing is. Anyhoozle, look at this. It's volume 58. Because, hey, um, like, I felt like doing it. I felt like doing it. You may have noticed that I hid all the other ones, but I felt like doing it, so I'm doing it. And we're all just gonna do what we do and feel about it how we feel. Anyway, so let's kick it off. I believe I'm in a room full of white people. Yeah. Look at this motherfucker over here. Braxton. He smoka de ganja very mucha. Yeah, this fucking guy, and he got me into it, and so like now it's trouble, it's problems. Uh, anyway, so fuck you, Braxton, you real piece of shit. Oh, that's right. You guys just now remembered that I'm hilarious when I make fun of that asshole. Anyway, bring it around. We have Ian, Captain Nepotism over here. This fucking guy, real piece of work. Hate him. Can't stand him. Yeah, that's absolutely the correct response. Hate this guy. Who doesn't? Anyway, but yeah, we're working on getting him fired. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Because, this guy, he's in charge of advertising for the show. And, yeah, real bang up job this guy does. We've been inside baby coffins, you know. We've been watermarked onto divorce papers. It's been a bad thing this whole time. And it's really it's criminal at this point. I don't even want to know. I don't even written by hand into the margins of a copy of Donald Trump's indictment that was left in a bus station and peed on by a hobo. Just the one copy. Just the one. You wrote it on the one. Okay. Well, go fuck yourself. That's what I have to say about that. Anyway, the audience loves abuse. They love it when I abuse these terrible people. And speaking of terrible people, Chaz over here, let Chaz know how you feel, people. That's right. They are booing for you, Chaz. They hate you. They really, really hate you. Anyway, and yeah, those hair plugs sure are growing in nice. You look like a Barbie doll with a haircut. When you give a Barbie doll a haircut and the plugs are too far apart and it's creepy. Anyway, yeah, so that's our glorious leader Chaz over here, the producer. He's the nepotistic asshole who's in charge of, his nephew Ian over here fucking everything up for us. Anyway, so that's what we got there. Showrunner, we've got Clarissa, who's, once again passed out ass up, and whenever she passes out ass up, well, who's trying to get 2 scoops of them raisins, two scoops of them fluffy raisin cakes. That we all know who that is. Kaysen over here. Yeah, parents could have named him Jason. He might have turned out fine. They went with Kaysen, and now there's no coming back. There's no coming back for this kid. But, you know, speaking of terrible parenting decisions, we've got just plain old Aiden here. His parents they are tour guides in the douche canoe. If you would like a guided tour up a river of ammonia that I don't even want to think about, Aiden's parents are paddling that canoe. Anyway, look at that. We did a nice tight 5. I was just looking to keep it under 10. Well, you know, we still have Captain Fuckface over here who needs to come out. You know, I'm talking about Stanley the Manly. He probably barely can't even do his fucking job right now. Let's find out. You catch more flies with the honey. Yeah, well, I'm not looking to catch fucking flies. I'm looking to get a show started, you son of a bitch. Oh, the audience love that. I don't know why every time I bring the audience in right now, they're coming in the middle of it. There's like a weird buffer with the audience, you know. It's like their laugh comes in at the middle. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that one was all right. That one, you give yourselves a round of applause. There you go. Anyway, Captain Fuckface, sorry, Stanley the Manly, if you could please. Weekend Type Fun, Volume 58. Everything will be fine. Eventually edition. Yeah, that's right. The theme of today's show is everything will be fine eventually. Anyway, part 1, saying silly things in a very serious voice. Yep. that sounds like a thing that I'll do, and this looks like a font that I'd use for purposes and sorts and whatnots and whoopsies and shits. Yes. So I believe it's time that we get into a serious voice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious voice for the serious things that I am doing very seriously here in just a moment after I take a sip of this very serious beverage. Delicious. Ladies and gentlemen, my beverage was delicious. Serious thing number 1. This ain't you daddy's gay-ass bareback rodeo. Round these parts, we play for keeps. I am very serious. You thought that perhaps this was you daddy's gay-ass bareback rodeo. It is not. We are going to have some bearded men kissing. We are going to hope that they don't suffer from hook and loop syndrome where they get stuck together and somebody has to like put a pry bar between their foreheads to get them apart. We are going to hope that that doesn't happen, but it always seems to happen. Every single time. Sometimes the buttons on their cowboy shirts, they get intersnapped when the, frantic snappery of cowboy buttons happens. You know what I'm talking about. Look, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you're the one to whom I am addressing this comment about it not being you daddy's gay-ass bareback rodeo. I am very serious about this. This is a thing about which I am very serious. Now that I think about it, this is a great idea for a comedy bit. Say things in a serious voice. Yeah. Say the serious things. It's comedy. No, seriously. Yeah, thank you. Braxton, you're fucking fired. Braxton, I want you to clean out your desk by the end of the. Shut up, Chaz. I do so have hiring and firing. Okay, well, I guess I don't. Fuck that. Why do I even work here anymore? All right. Next up, serious thing number 2. You can't say shit like that to me. Not when I'm wearing my Batman jammies. My form-fitting Batman jammies, which accentuate the very utilitarian shape my body has taken on since our marriage, these however many years it's been ago. I'm sorry I don't remember. This is a guy right here who does not remember his anniversaries. I'm sorry, he does not. Do you think this is a face of a man who remembers anniversaries? No, he doesn't. No, he can't go to the grocery store alone. Like, he's gonna bring home the weird peanut butter, you know, the kind you gotta stir in and shit. Anyway, you can't send him by himself. All right, let's do another serious thing. Serious thing number 3. I go to the zoo to watch them penguins back all that ass up. Oh my God. Look at this region. Wow. That's a whole lot of tuxedo ass. That is 10 pounds of penguin ass in a 5-pound penguin ass bag. I like them thick ass penguins. Serious thing number 4. We all deserve the right to feel like the prettiest cowgirl, even if it is only for one night. I do like to feel like a pretty I like to feel like a pretty cowgirl from time to time, of course, yes. It's what I enjoy. It's one of my most favorite things. Yes. I don't mind saying so. When I served in the military for Her Majesty, of course, certain understandings had to be had. The times were different, you know. But if one were of a cowgirling sort, well, one could find a way. I certainly did, and I don't apologize for it now. I don't know where my seriousness went. I was trying to bring it, and then my voice, which I have a sore throat right now, and my voice was like, no. And then I pulled out like the very model of a modern major general, and he paid you a visit. I hope you enjoyed it. Fucking Jonathan Pryce up in here. Anyone? Okay. Serious thing number 5. I'm serious, Jessica. If you don't give me my vape back, I'm telling your dad about your footpick OnlyFans. Now, this picture is AI generated. And so, I don't remember what the prompt was. I remember it had something to do with beans and foot picks. So, for some reason, it created Band Gulke, which is definitely Eastern Europe's most popular bean brand. And it gave this woman a baby foot hand, where she pulling, this is all nightmare. Like, the more you look at these AI, like, anytime an AI has to create something human, it is just nightmare fuel. um so she got baby foot hand, she pulling a giraffe neck out of an unopened, apparently, can of beans, um that, like, I don't know, what are these, like, artichoke hearts on the bottom? Those are not beans. I'm sorry. You know, and then she got, like, thigh elbow. And then look at this foot. It's a pencil tip. She got a pencil tip with an elbow on it for a foot. And she wearing size 27s. And what is with these beans? Like, are they cooked? Are they raw? What kind of beans are those? Like, the more I look at this, and then you're like, is that an elevator? Is this in a hotel hallway? Is she taking bean pencil foot OnlyFan pics in a hotel hallway right in front of the elevator, where, like, families with kids are gonna get off, you know, because they're like, well, we couldn't afford the Disney hotel, but we sure afford one that's close to Disneyland, just walking distance. This is pretty nice, isn't it, kids? And they have a pool, and so even though Disneyland's closed for senior night tonight, we can still go swimming. Who wants to go for a oh my God, is that pencil foot OnlyFans? Like, what is going on here? It's just, the more I look, the less I like it. Let's move on. Serious thing number 6. I swear to sweet rappin' Jesus H. motherfucking Christ that if one more of these hoes thinks that my Capri Suns are community property and therefore an acceptable post-coital beverage, bitch, have tap water or get your ass home. I mean, I said, bitch. I don't like using that word. I don't. I feel uncomfortable. I'm like, I respect women, okay? And I believe them and I respect them. And with all due respect, back the fuck off of my Capri Suns. Because, like, what? Just because we shared a beautiful night does not mean that I am sharing my delicious refrigerated. Oh, I don't leave them out on the counter like some sort of psychopath. Them motherfuckers is cold. And I am not letting you take one, and you're probably some sort of psychopath who accidentally punches the straw through both sides of the bag. Like, I can't with you. I cannot with you. Okay. Well, the fuck? I don't think this can pass muster. Let's do this quick. Serious thing number 7. If there's gonna be titties out, I'll fucking pay $10 to see what it's about. Like, what was that? That was not appropriate. Who put that in? Braxton, you son of a bitch. What was that? I mean, like, yeah, she was censored in the places, but, like, is that enough? I don't know at this point. Okay. Serious thing number 8. I'm agnostic about whether or not that shit is butter. It could be, but I don't think I'll ever know. It's one of my favorite brands. It's one of America's favorite brands. This shit might not be butter. Absolutely. Serious thing number 9. I want you to make me one of those frou-frou ass coffee drinks that are secretly 5/8 whipped cream and caramel. Actually, confession time, and this is serious, you guys. Even though I'm saying it in this voice, which, why would you not take people who use this voice seriously? What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, you see how I turned that around? Ha ha. Judgmental much, you little bitch? I don't like the word. But people who have that voice say it. Like, they do. Anyway, regardless, at least they do in the movies. And the movies reflect life as we want it to be. Probably. I don't know. Sometimes it's Star Wars. Anyway, regardless, I didn't even know what that means. Sometimes it's Star Wars. What are you talking about, sir? But no, seriously though, confession time. I drink tea every morning. Earl Grey, hot, because yes, Sir Patrick Stewart is at the very, very tippy top of my list. You know, my list, my hall pass list of like, if this ever were to go down, this does not count. This is a freebie from the universe. I am not kidding. I actually do find Sir Patrick Stewart very attractive. He's a very attractive man. I have always thought so. Anyway, but I do drink tea Earl Grey hot every morning. I started drinking it to see what he was on about, and I didn't like it at first, but then I developed a taste, and now I have it every morning, and I don't drink coffee at all under any circumstances. Because as a super taster, it's really like too much. It's too much. It's just too much. I can't. Because when you're a super taster, things that are very strongly flavored for other people are like a kick in the teeth to you. So yeah, I cannot with coffee. I literally can't. But I mean, the drinks look good. They look good as a motherfucker. I mean, it looks like you are having dessert for breakfast every time I see a student with one of these. And I make fun of them too, because here's the other thing. I take my tea straight. And I know that to British people, they're like, ew. Like, you know, it's funny because British people are like, yes, we have to have our tea. And that's what British people sound like. Yes, Governor, we have to have our tea. That's my excellent British accent. I don't know how to do a British accent. I've never tried. So, yeah, I don't know if I could do one of those. Just kidding. I could totally do a British accent, but I'm not going to right now because I don't fucking feel like it now. So I'm not gonna. But here's the thing is that I drink my tea straight. Like no cream, no sugar. Don't fog that shit up for me at all. That's how I likes it. And I know that to a lot of people, a lot of tea drinkers in the world, they're like, that's fucking weird. Because I just pour it and then wait for, you know, entropy to cool it down. And And then it does over time, and then I drink it just straight. That's how I like it. And I'll often like pair it with very dry things to eat. you know, it's how I do. I'm a very simple man with very simple tastes. Because like things that are intensely flavored for regular people are way too much for me. Like, so I have a very boring palate, is what you need to know about me. I have the palate of a picky ass toddler. I mean, it is all dino tendies, like dino nuggies for me. Like, I get them dino nuggets and I am a happy camper. No, I wouldn't eat dino nuggets. You have to shape your nuggets like they were an accident. Like at least, McDonald's, they found a way to like be like, unless you know the secret thing that there's only 5 of them, then, it actually kind of seems like maybe that's what the chicken intended with its flesh that we that just pulped up and squirted goo out of a gun into a freaking little pan that had the shape that like looks like nature wanted it that way. um you know but it's seriously just like chicken goo that got cooked and then breaded. Best not to think about it. Best not to think. uh Anyway, yeah. Yeah, I don't play the coffee is what I think I was getting at. All right. Serious thing number 15. Number 15. Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you want in your Burger King burger is someone's foot fungus. But as it turns out, that might be what you get. This seems familiar for some reason. I can't put my foot on it, but I also shouldn't because that's what this is about. Anyway. Oh, yes, part 2, Death to Me. Let's talk about what's happening in my life right now because it's hilarious. Oh my god, is it funny? Oh shit, it's a barrel of monkeys. So, okay. Here's the thing. I'm the drama teacher and the sponsor of the GSA, which means I get all the gay kids, all of them. Like, all of the coming out that happens, very often happens to me first. People trying out different names and stuff, float them by me early, like it happens. That's the way it goes because I have tried very hard to create a safe space for those kids. And why do I do it? Well, first of all, those kids are delightful. They're some of my favorite people. Number 1. Number 2 is because without a support system, those kids are 8 times more likely to try and kill themselves. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. So somebody's got to do that fucking work. And because I already like the kids, and because I already have half of them, because I'm the drama teacher, I do not mind picking up the slack and being like, hey, be in my club. We're going to talk about how you feel and what your life is like and how things are going. And we're going to try and help everybody feel accepted and normal. Sometimes we do it better than others, but like, that is what we're trying to do. So, I've been that guy, and ever since I've been that guy, This is a very Christian, very Trump voting, very still Trump flag waving. Because that's always a worrisome sign. Like when you see a Trump flag on the back of a truck, you're like, oh shit, we're in a different kind of bad neighborhood right now. Like, yeah, that, think about that for a minute. Yeah, it works on multiple levels. Um, anyway, but so yeah, I'm in this very, very, very Republican centric town, and that's fine. Like, look, I used to be a Republican at one time in my life. I voted for Republicans, I voted for Democrats, and I mean, lately I prefer Democrats. I mean, I like, given a choice between evil and incompetence, I'm taking incompetence, because like at least they won't fuck it up too badly, and at least they mean well. They're not like bad faith actors, which is what the Republican Party has turned into, which is sad because they've left a lot of people in the dirt. Because there are always going to be conservatives and there are always going to be liberals, and there's like the thoughtful people who like really do mean well. They just have a different way of looking at it, and like that's really the divide between liberals and conservatives. My brother was that way, and yeah, we could talk about the heavy shit and not get mad at each other because we had a mutual respect, that we knew that we both came by our positions honestly, and we could talk about it, and it was good. That rarely happens. Like, it happened recently, and I stopped and I pointed it out to the guy I was talking to. I was like, do you know how rare this is? I was like, you're on one side of an issue, I'm on the other side. We're having a dialogue and neither of us is heated. Like, do you know how rare this is in this day and age? Yeah, literally happened earlier this week, which was a whole different time zone ago. Like, the earlier this week was a different year, as far as my life is concerned. By the way, you're not going to see too many visuals happening right here. This is all story hour. You can look away from your screen. I don't know, play friggin' Minesweeper on your other screen or something. Because we all have dual monitor setups, right? I mean, I do. You're not watching this on a phone like a Neanderthal, are you? Watch it on a dual monitor PC setup like God intended. Anyway, regardless, so white privileged, and I'm gonna talk about how hard my life is. Like, but it is hard. Like, I mean, it is hard because I'm about to get into some shit that like it has never happened to me before and shouldn't happen to anyone. Anyway, so yeah, the thing is that because I've stood up for the LGBTQ kids, there's been a target on my back. Now let me just try and very quickly sum up everything that's happened leading up to this point, and then I'll show you the actual death threats that I received, because I've been spoiler alert, this ends in me getting death threats. Okay. So here's what happened is, I have a homeroom. I've had these kids for 4 years. We all know and care about each other. We're very close. These kids are great. I've seen them grow up. It's been a unique opportunity, and we are tight with each other, and the close-knit group. And, I have rubbed off on them. They have rubbed off on me. And we've experienced a lot together. So, it's a unique relationship. Anyway, but one day earlier in the semester, the counselor came in to be like, hey, there's a scholarship here are some scholarships you can apply for. Not enough people are applying, and here's one, but it's only for girls because it's given out by the Seroptimus, which is a women's organization. And then one of my students made a snide comment about, identifying as female to get the scholarship. And, the content of it was an indication that, like, oh, you can just turn it on or off. It's a choice. Like, took very lightly the trans identity. And here's the thing. I knew the kid was joking, and I'm not the fucking joke police, okay? Like, I'm actually offended at the idea of joke police. Like, I believe that people should be able to joke about shit because there's a lot of shit that needs joking about, and I don't think we get enough trans humor, quite frankly, because you got to be able to joke about everything. You've got to be able to joke about everything. It's part of the healing process. Like, tragedy plus time equals comedy. And I know that there's a lot of tragedy in the trans community. You got to find a way to turn that into comedy. Otherwise, you're never going to get past it. That's how it is. I feel very strongly about that. And I feel very strongly about people's rights to say what they need to say. I'm very firmly on those things. So, like, I got after this student, but not because I'm like, hey, there's some things you can't fucking joke about, sir. And not in a way, like, full context, the reason I got after him is because I'm the one on campus who knows this. I know that he has a sibling who identifies as trans who would desperately like to have even a single ally in their own family. And yeah. I know that because I know that firsthand because I've talked about it with the person. Because they've told me, because I make it safe for them to tell me. And so so I wanted to be like, hey, I know you're a good person. Don't make someone's identity a joke because you don't know who you might be hurting. And I made a point about that, and I told a story from my high school experience that I won't relay here, but was just about, like, here's why we treat people with dignity and respect. It costs you nothing, and it gives them the world, and I was trying to, say that, and then I got pushback. Because then people were like, yeah, but I don't think trans people exist. I don't think it's a real thing. And I was like, yeah, did I stutter though? Did I say only be nice to people if you think that you and they agree on everything? No, I didn't say that. I said give other humans dignity and respect because that's all anyone wants. We all only have one life in this world. And, God knows when it's going to be over. And we're all just trying our best. And, some of us are very vulnerable and could use a pickup. And sometimes the best pickup you can give is just basic human fucking dignity. That's the point I'm making. And I get pushback. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I getting pushback? And then, I had a person in my classroom who was not a part of my homeroom who started yelling about it. And then other people started yelling back at them. But then I was trying to say something about, like, no, we got to treat each other with dignity and respect. But people weren't listening to me. And I was trying to make the point. And I'll make this point right here because it's actually an important point, okay? It's important that people know this. With all the shit that's being said about trans people right now, this is important to know. Because if we are thinking about the society in which we want to live, this is an important thing to know about trans people. And I know that I'm doing a ha 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 little comedy show, but here's the goddamn point. Is that I heard this from a doctor who said, from a scientific standpoint, we have no way of knowing if there is such a thing as a woman in a man's body or a man in a woman's body. We don't have a way of knowing. And for years, the DSM, the Diagnostic Manual for Psychological Disorders, said, oh, if, someone has a penis and thinks that they should be a woman, or has a vagina and thinks that they should be a man, that is a deeply disturbed individual that really needs some psychological help. But what we have found in the intervening years, ever since we have been trying to help these people, what we have found is that so actually let me stop right now, because I got stopped in making my point. I said the part about, from a scientific standpoint, we can't tell what they are thinking or feeling. All we have are self-reports, and so we don't know for sure that there is such a thing as a woman in a man's body or a man in a woman's body. From a scientific perspective, we don't know. All we have is self-report, right? And the person that I was telling this to was like, see, that's exactly what I'm saying. We don't know, so they don't exist. They should shut up because they don't. And, they just kept taking my words and twisting them and taking half of what I intended to say and twisting it. And the other half of what I was trying to say is what the doctor said, which is that, even in the face of zero proof that such a thing as a woman in a man's body or a man in a woman's body exists, even if that is something that we can never prove, what we can prove is this: that when you start treating these people as if they were the gender that they identify as, all the markers of mental health and well-being go positive, go up in a good way. All of them. Every marker of mental health and well-being goes up when you treat trans people as if they were telling the truth. So even if in your brain you're like, this man thinks he's a woman, he's full of shit, you should say, hello, ma'am, because that's what a nice person would do when they are concerned about the mental health of their fellow man. That was the point that I was trying to make, is that, you don't have to agree that someone is trans. You don't have to agree that transgender people exist. All you have to know is that it's better for them. It reduces the likelihood that they will fucking kill themselves if you just do one of two things. You have another choice. There's another choice you can make. You can either say, hello, chosen pronoun, and let that be what it is. Or alternately, you can shut the fuck up. You don't have to say shit. You can keep all your thoughts to yourself. because we are living in the most narcissistic time in the history of the world, and everybody thinks that everything they have to say is of supreme importance. Like, ew, my thoughts and my opinions, you have to hear me. Like, even me, I'm talking into a microphone. I apparently think that I'm very important. I paid money for this microphone. Money that I earned at a job where I get death threats. Yeah, we'll get to that. So I got very frustrated that this person was not letting me speak. I'm a middle child, which means I grew up not being heard. And it is the most frustrating feeling in the world to me. And so I yelled. I really cut loose. And at that moment, when I was yelling and presenting a very broadly acceptable argument, you know, an argument that most people should be able to get behind, when I was presenting that angrily and in the worst possible vocabulary for a teacher, a student hit record on their phone because all students are, you know, cinematographers now, and they catalog everything that they think might be of interest. And so one of my students was like, well, I better get this shit down. And here's the thing. Immediately after this blow up, I apologized to the person that I yelled at. She accepted my apology and said that she wasn't even worried about me, that she wasn't upset with me at all, that in fact she likes that I am real with her and that I will actually tell her what I think. And I said, yeah, but I was rude. And she's like, yeah, you were. I'm like, good. I'm glad we agree that I have something to apologize for, because that's what I'm doing right now, is apologizing. But she told me that her biggest problem was the interloper, the person who was in my homeroom who wasn't supposed to be there. Because she and that person have beef going back all the way to kindergarten. And I'm not kidding. Like, this is small town, and everybody knows everybody since they were in diapers. I grew up in a small town just like that. There are people that I'm like, I don't care for that motherfucker. And I have not seen him in like 37 years. And I'm like, if I ever fucking cross paths with that asshole, I am not saying a word. I am ducking my head and walking on by, you know. Like, that's how I still feel about, you know, small town people, because everybody's up everybody else's ass and it sucks. Anyway, so she was like, yeah, can we not have that person in our homeroom anymore? And I was like, you know what? That is a fair request. This is your senior year. We have a special relationship. I will respect that. And I did. And I told that person, like, hey, you can't come back during my homeroom. And I was only having that person in my homeroom because they had a long-term sub who has a history of telling my LGBTQ kids that they are going to hell, and of turning class into church. And, you know, students fucking hate it. And this student has a lot of religious trauma. The one who was in my homeroom who had long-standing beef, has religious trauma and is LGBTQ and doesn't want to be in there with a very triggering sub for this person. And I 100% understand that. It's why I let them into my room in the first place. But be that as it may, like, you can't, like, yell and stuff at my brunk time. That's my job. Anyway, so uh then the person who made the initial comment, I apologized to them and was like, "Hey, I was trying to make a point. I know that it got all mixed up and things got said and there was yelling and whatnot, and I'm sorry." And they were like, "Hey, you're good. I know you. Like, it's been 4 years. I know your heart. I know where you're coming from. Like, I trust you." And that meant a lot, you know? And so we were good. And then the next day, when my homeroom came in again, I was like, "Hey guys, I'm going to apologize to all of you because what happened shouldn't have happened." Um, and as I was saying this, the person, who was not in my, who was trying to escape from the sub who turns class into church, came in, and I told them in front of everyone, like, "Hey, you can't be in here." And they were like, "Really?" And they tried to set things down, and I was like, "Please take your things. Like, you can't be in here." And then they left, and then I went to them later and apologized and said, like, "You have to understand the situation. Like, you are not more my student than the student that you have beef with, and that person has a right to have their teacher-student relationship with me without having you in there, because you're not on my roster for that hour, so you really shouldn't be in there." So yeah, it is the whole thing, handled it with everybody. But the kid who got the video, I went to him and was like, "Hey, what are you intending to do with that? Because I don't know what part you got, but if you got the wrong part, it could look very bad for me." And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I deleted it." Yeah. Anyway, so everybody in the town has seen it now, and some of them really, really hate me, and and it turned into this thing where this one kid had seen it, and I didn't know this kid, but he started trying to bully me every day, like this freshman boy, who freshman boys are the worst, by the way. They're the worst form of human life. There is no one like pointlessly meaner, because they were the top of the totem pole in 8th grade, and then they get knocked down to the bottom, and everybody's laughing at them, being like, "Oh, stupid freshman," and it sucks. It sucks having to deal with these guys because they feel like, their only way of getting any cachet whatsoever is being a dick to teachers. And when you're a teacher and you're like, "Hey, if you're cool with me, I'll be cool with you," and then you get freshman boys and they're like, "Haha, fuck you," for no reason. It sucks. Like, it really sucks. And I try and be understanding, and I try and approach them in the best way possible, but like, they have consistently betrayed my trust and have made things shitty. Anyway, so this kid starts trying to bully me every day, and it got to a point where I didn't even want to go outside my classroom. And I'm like, "No, that's not right." And so one day I go out there knowing that he's going to be there, and he's there with his shitty ass face and stupid bullshit that he does. And and I went up to him and I was like, "Hey, I don't know you. What are you doing?" And he just kept doing what he was doing, and I was like, "No, seriously, what are you trying to accomplish?" And he's like, "I'm trying to make you mad." And I was like, "Why?" And he said, "Oh, because it's funny." And I was like, "Oh, you just gave up the game, son. That's not allowed. That's not allowed at all. So you're coming with me to the principal's office." And he's like, "No." And I was like, "No, I don't think you understand. Like, you are coming with me to the principal's office. And he's like, no. And I was so like, I just need to get this kid to the principal's office so that this can stop. And I was like, I don't know how to make this happen, because if I go into my classroom to use my phone to try and call the principal, this kid will leave. And then I have no way of finding him. So, like, I don't know how else to make this stop other than just getting the kid and taking him to the principal's office. So I got him and I took him. I did not grab the child. I grabbed the strap of his backpack, and then I just started to walk. And here's the fun thing. He could have wriggled out of it. If you've ever seen, boys messing with each other at school, one grabs the other by the backpack, then the other one just takes his arms out of it, and then the other guy's left there just holding a backpack, because he can't mess with you anymore, like shake you up by your backpack when you're not wearing your backpack anymore. But he didn't do that. And it was really easy to take him there. Like, I don't work out. I'm the drama teacher. I'm just, that's not my style. I'm not Mr. Football and whatnot. Like, that's not me. Except this kid is an athlete, apparently. And, I dragged his ass all the way to the principal's office. And it was super easy, which is fun because it means he gets to live the rest of his life knowing that he is so much weaker than the queer-loving drama teacher. Because all them delightful queers, they are my favorite people. Anyway, so, yeah, I dragged that kid's ass to the principal's office. And when his parents showed up, even they were like, what did he say? Because they've met their child. They know he's an asshole. Anyway, and it's not the first time he's been in trouble at school. So, they figured something was up. Anyway, his friends got all that on video too, like me dragging him to the office. And it wasn't until their phones came out that he really started like, you can't do this to me, really getting all dramatic about it. And, yeah, he really hammed it up for the camera. He called me the N-word like 17 times. We are both white. I don't know what happened. Just this year, all the white kids are like, yeah, it's totally fine if you say it like a rapper with an H on the end. Yeah, you can just say it casually, many times as you want. Like, they've all made this determination. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Do you need me to drive you to some neighborhoods where I know there's a whole bunch of people who would not like hearing you with your particular skin tone using their word that they have reclaimed and that they have a right to reclaim? But you don't have a right to reclaim it because you never had any claim on it to begin with. So, yeah, I don't know what happened, but like somehow, and me in my classroom trying to stamp it out. And students, like, it's to a point where students don't even hear themselves saying it anymore. It's just ubiquitous. It's everywhere. People are constantly dropping N-words. And I'm like, I've talked to you about this. I don't know what else to do. I've explained it as clearly as I know how. And people still, I don't know what to do. Anyway, kid called me the N-word like 17 times on the way to the office. which is funny because he's a bigot. Um, anyway, it's true. But yeah, so the thing is that the kid, of course, when he goes home, shows his parents the video of me in my homeroom yelling at a student because, yes, everyone saw it. And the worst possible part of the worst possible day in my homeroom, literally the only day that I have ever, like, yelled in that class. Ever. I've never yelled in there before. And for any reason. And, yeah. That's it. Yeah. So it's not an accurate representation of who I am and what I do. Anyway, regardless. So the parents show my principal this video, and my principal is like, well, that's not allowed at all. So he chooses to suspend me for 5 days, which hasn't happened yet. That's starting on Monday. That's going to kick in. But before we could even get to my suspension for the thing, I started getting death threats. Like real, legitimate death threats. Let's take a look at my death threats. Because these are real. This is 100% like from the death threat, copied and pasted into a Google Doc. Exact spelling. I have redacted the location names. Anyway, yeah, let's take a read at what this person intends toward me. A fellow human being with a wife and children and, with thoughts and feelings of my own. Sorry. Anyway, just know this, you fat liberal faggot. I'm watching you. No, it's watching you. Watching you, and don't be surprised when you get 3 bullets in your head. At the school every day, comma. Your pro-faggot agenda will be silenced. Watching you, bitch, you liberal fucking scum. This is redacted Arizona. Liberal scum like you don't belong here. And watch your back. You will get those bullets soon. Sweet. Like, that's just, the kind of message that you want to get. This is the lighter of the two. Let's go to the second one. Put it this way. You have 48 hours to resign and leave teaching at redacted high, or make sure you will not be breathing. I can hit you with gunfire from far away near the school. Is it far or is it near? You write like a moron. You should have taken my class. I would have taught you how to string a goddamn sentence together. I'm really good at it. I literally do it for a living. Hit you with gunfire from far away near the school and take you out and put many bullets inside you. You will not assault students like you did or push your faggot transgender agendas in redacted any longer to our students. A redacted area resident. I'm not an area resident. I live here. Like, I have lived here for almost a decade. And I live literally walking distance from the school. And have for almost a decade. I've been here for a while. Anyway. Stupid. So, a redacted area resident, and I have no problem killing you, as I have a terminal illness. I can kill you easily, or put you in a wheelchair by shooting you in the spine. I suggest you resign today your position as teacher. If not, within end of week, your fat ass will be dead or cripple, you fat liberal piece of shit. Your liberal ideas don't belong in redacted Arizona, and you will soon find out, motherfucker. Thanks, bro. That's so nice. Like, I really appreciate your open dialogue with me. Yeah. That was sent. The person who sent it is smart enough to use a VPN, but too dumb to know how to spell. So they might be a student, just hoaxing. It might be the student that I dragged to the office because he got shown up in front of all of his friends that he is so much weaker than the queer-loving drama teacher. I don't know. And guess what? The cops can't find out because they are no better at looking into this than I am. Because it took me 15 minutes of searching to be like, hey, both IPs are coming from a graveyard in California and are coming from an internet service provider that is known for basically only existing to do routing for VPNs. That's it. So, yeah. It is not, it's someone who doesn't want to be found and knows that by putting this out into the world that, it could come back to them. Because I did go to the police on this. I mean, well, I told my principal, we have a school resource officer on campus because everybody does these days. And that's a whole debate in and of itself. But I won't burden you with it. Just watch the John Oliver episode. Anyway, but the thing is that we ran it up the flagpole immediately. And, in a couple of days from, the threat being put out there, they don't know any more than I did in the 15 minutes of work I did to find out what's going on. And they were like, oh yeah, there will be heightened police presence in your area. I've not seen one cop car drive by. I've not seen, and I've looked, I've not seen a single cop car drive by, which is absurd because in this area, this is a county seat, so we have the sheriffs, and then we live near the reservation, so there are the tribal police coming and going always. There's highway patrol because there's, major highways running out of town. And there's the town police. There's there's like 5 different law enforcement entities all around. And so to not see any law enforcement whatsoever, because people speed up and down our street all day, every day. And so, at least normally you occasionally see the cops busting someone for speeding. I haven't even seen that. So, yeah, maybe the cops have seen the video and they're like, he's a faggot lover, so we're not going to, I hope not. I hope that that's not the case because I have known people on the police force. I have former students on the police force. So and I've worked with people who are on the police force and know them in the community and they're good people and I like them. So I don't want to think the worst, but that's where your brain goes when you get death threats. When I go outside, if I see anyone that I don't immediately recognize, I feel threatened. And maybe it's because I'm extremely paranoid. Sure. Absolutely. But also, that person was very specific about what they intend to do to me. So, yeah, we are not coming back here next year. We intended to stay here forever. We intended to work here for 30, 35 years and then retire and then come back as substitute teachers because the area is so hard up for good substitutes. And we told our principal in the meeting where we were like, hey, we're getting death threats now. We took the opportunity to be like, oh, and by the way, the reason we haven't signed our contracts is because we're not going to. Because we cannot come back to this. Like, you know, my principal made it shitty enough for me as it is, you know, with all the shit he gave me over the play. But, I mean, given that people in this town are so full of hate toward LGBTQ people, because that is the culture war that is playing on their TV screens. Because, look, I understand it. Okay, let me just tell you a little something, and then we'll get the fuck back off this and try a little comedy to button the fucking thing up, and then we'll be done. Post 9/11, not a lot of people had answers. You know, cable news, like 24-hour news, was a brand new novel idea at the time. Like, we had CNN for a bit, and we were kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of excessive, you know? Like, we looked at CNN, and Fox News was pretty much brand new. Or it felt brand new. I hadn't paid attention to it before. But as soon as 9/11 happened, there weren't a lot of answers. There were a lot of open questions. And all of the news sources I was turning to were like, there's so much we don't know. There is so much we don't know. And then you turn to Fox News, and at first I was comforted because they were like, oh, we know. We know exactly what it is, and we don't mind telling you exactly what it is. And here's the thing, is that all the other news channels were waiting for information before they reported it. And Fox News had an agenda to push. And so they were like, well, you know what? We'll tell you who the enemy is. We'll tell you who to be mad at. And as I was watching it, and I was feeling myself get angry, and I was like, wait, who am I angry at and why? You know, and it occurred to me, I was like, wait, these guys don't have my best interest at heart. They're just telling me what they want me to think because it's convenient for them. You know, I deconstructed that fairly quickly. And with not all of the cognitive tools that I have now as a grown-ass man with an advanced degree, you know, and years of like library research behind me where I'm just good at finding information and at finding the information behind the information. That is a librarian's job, and I'm damn good at it. It's why I might go back into libraries instead of going and looking for another teaching job. Anyway, so yeah. Fox News, they told their version of the truth. And at first, when I heard it, it was kind of comforting to have somebody who was like, no, this is what we do. This is who is at fault. This is what's going on. And this is how you should feel about it. And just an entire prepackaged worldview. And at first I was like, well, goddamn, at least there's someone giving incisive, you know, analysis and really cutting through to it. And then I realized, like, wait a minute, they are pushing an agenda. And I was like, no, I don't want an agenda with my news. I just want the news, which is why I like PBS NewsHour. Shout out to PBS NewsHour. It's a news source that's like reliable and shit. Anyway, but yeah, you know, there's a really good book called Deer Hunting with Jesus. And, you know, it's this guy who grew up with all these people. He grew up in a small town, and everybody he knew and grew up with is like super conservative and, you know, Fox News watching, hard Republican, hard right type of people. And he comes back to town, like he came back to live in his childhood hometown after becoming a, you know, New York journalist, and so extremely liberal. And he comes back and he's just blown away by these people who are all working shit factory jobs for like Rubbermaid or somebody. And you know, like they're having to deal with plant closings and fucking, you know, life, like just shitty ass life. And they work in crazy hours, working crazy hard, and most of the people in town work at the same fucking place. You know, I come from a town like that. I come from a town with a power plant where everybody works at the power plant. And guess what? Within the next, I think, 2 years now, the power plant's going to close. What's going to happen to the town? It's going to basically fucking dry up and blow away, is what's going to happen. Like, there's not going to be anything left. Because, you know, that's why my family moved there. It's because my dad got a job there, you know? And yeah, it's gonna blow away. So like I understand these people. I understand the like calloused hand lives that they lead. And they don't have a lot of time to be like, oh, we're giving some nuanced political perspectives. It is so much easier for them to just tune into Fox, and Fox will be like, here is your identity. Go forth, my soldier. You know, and like that's just, it's what they do. And so like people feel that they have to carry these standards, they have to carry the banner for a news organization that is not playing on the level, that does not have their best interests at heart. And I have to remember that, like, these people, at their core, they mean well. And they think that what they are doing is the right thing. Even the fucker who is threatening my life, he is doing this because he thinks that I am a clear and present danger to the children of the town. That I am teaching them to be un-American, that I am teaching them to deny God, that I am teaching them to deny the order of nature and the universe. You know, like he really thinks that I have it out for these kids, when I don't. Like, my agenda is, I like making kids think, and I like introducing them to perspectives that they haven't encountered before, because that's what I appreciated the most about my best teachers when I was growing up in a very similar small town. You know, I've tried to be a safe space for the freaks and the geeks and the weirdos and the kids who don't belong anywhere else. And I have been that. And that's what I needed when I was in high school. And that's what I got from my drama teacher and my speech and debate coach, you know? It's what I got from my honors English teachers. And yeah, now I'm a drama teacher and an honors English teacher, you know? And like, I get to be literally the person that I needed when I was in high school. I get to be that. That's amazing. That's great. But I I can't do it for much longer because people don't want me to. Because this culture war that the Republican Party started because they ran out of ideas for governance. Like, they've spent so long since Obama, they have been like, this man must be stopped. And then, they spent the entire Trump presidency just overturning everything that Obama ever did, or at least attempting to. And, and it wasn't good governance. It was just, kowtowing to the very wealthy and overturning Obama stuff. That's it. That's not governance. That's no way to run things. And, it's not. It's not. What's your policy? Who are you helping? Who are you here to help? Anyway. So, overturning the JCPOA with no fucking evidence, that made all of us less safe. And people don't even, like, with all the other scandals, people don't even realize, like, how much more of a threat Iran became because he was like, nah, fuck that. Obama made this agreement, then it must be terrible. Like, what? Why? Anyway, like, such a dick move. And so they've run out of ideas for governance, so they've picked up all these culture wars that now these culture wars are affecting my family directly and our ability to, like, make ends meet and to stay in a job where I'm happy and want to stay. What? Why is this the path that you've chosen? And you've chosen to point people like me out as the enemy. And what do you do with the enemy? You fucking kill them. This is what we've always done with the enemy. So, like, you can't point out the enemy and then get surprised when the people that you've been telling, here is the enemy, here is the enemy, here is the enemy, you can't be surprised when they're like, you want me to fucking kill him? Because I don't mind doing it. You cannot be surprised. It is a problem that you created. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But you know what? We're going to move, and where we are moving is extremely liberal. Like, to the point where we're going to look like right-wingers. Like, I'm fairly moderate, and so, like, that means that I look like a super liberal to this very conservative small town. I'm actually very moderate. And so, like, when we arrive in our new place, which we will, by the end of the summer, some point, we've got a lot to figure out before then. But, like, when we finally do that, we will be the least liberal people around. Like, we don't own a Subaru or whatever. Like, we don't have a bicycle that cleans the air as we pedal it, like, or whatever. I don't know. Our clothes are made of whatever Walmart makes. They're not hemp or whatever, like, we're moving to Portlandia. It's pretty much, though, because because everybody that we love and care about has moved there. I mean, not everyone we love and care about, but the people that we are the closest to in the world are all either moving there soon or have already moved there. And we're like, how is it? And they're like, oh, it's fucking great. Like, you're gonna love it. Like, it's amazing. Um, and then they tell us things about it that are amazing, and we're like, so you live in Portlandia? And they're like, yeah, kinda. And they're like, but do you ever watch that show? And you're like, that seems nice. And it does. It literally does. It does. I've been to the Pacific Northwest. I have been in the area, and I've been like, it's kind of nice. But that's in the summer. I would not be able to, like, I get seasonal affective disorder very harshly. So we're going to live in the, Portlandia, the warm one. Not telling you where that is because, like, death threats against me currently. But yeah, let's wrap this shit up. Part 3, ball busting inanimate objects. Yeah, apparently that. I don't know. I don't know what this is gonna be. But apparently I'm gonna be doing some ball busting over here. Come on, we're gonna ball bust. Hey, you gotta do this voice. Hey, I'm just busting balls over here. Just ball busting, Don't get mad and just busting balls. Okay. Let's see. Oh, model railroad. Oh, yeah, like I got fucking time to stipple greenery. That's some fucking bullshit. Yeah, little tiny world. What's actually fucking fun? Yeah, slot car racing. That's the good shit. This slow ass shit, like, oh, I'm gonna hook up a caboose. You almost never see those anymore. There's a fucking reason. There's a fucking reason. I don't know what it is. I don't fucking care. Railroads, what is it? The fucking 1800s? Get the fuck out of here with your fucking railroad hobby. What do you stand in the middle of a fucking board? A circle of boards in your basement, and you like flip a little switch and then just watch it go round, and you're like, yeah, I'm the fucking conductor of this train. Yeah, good job. Good job. You fucking did something a 5-year-old could do. You flipped a switch. Hooray for you. Ugh. Come on, tennis balls. Are you serious? Okay. You open this fucking thing, it's still not open because apparently tennis balls go bad. I didn't know that. Like, a dog can chase the same tennis ball his entire 14-year life and not get bored of it and not be like, this tennis ball seems off. I'm not going to chase this. You send me a fresh tennis ball or no can do, Papacita. Anyway, that's not what dogs are fucking doing. And so, and you pop the top of this, the little plastic bit is still, you got to open it like a fucking beer. But you don't get a beer. You know what comes out of the top of these motherfuckers? White privilege. Fucking white privilege ass motherfucker. Don't need that shit. Oh my God. Greeting cards. Okay, these are the most fucking waste of... Do you ever look at the back and see how much you're actually spending on this fucking thing? It's a piece of goddamn paper, and it's like $7 or some shit. I shit you not. You get the premium ones that like sing the little song and then whatever. It's a fucking lot of money. That would be better spent, like, I don't know, buy him $7 worth of Reese's Pieces. They'd be fucking better off. But the fucking birthday card the day after, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? Like, I'm going to remember forever the time that you were like, should we get a card? No, I really think we should get a card. I think he's going to be expecting a card. Yeah, you think I fucking want to remember that you did that once? No. Fucking no. Greeting card the day after. Chuck it in the trash. You know what? Anytime you get a greeting card, I think we need to normalize opening it, looking for money, chucking it in the trash in front of the person who gave it to you so they know Just give me an envelope full of cash next time, and we'll all save some fucking money. Anyway. Oh, the old flashlight. Look, incandescent bulb on the fucking thing. The interrupt button. Who's sending fucking, like, you think you're an Aldous lamp? Yeah, an Aldous lamp. I know what a fucking Aldous lamp is. That's what you use to send Morse code with light. Yeah, because I know shit about shit. Anyway, but the fucking old-ass flashlight, like every fucking house has one of these, and you don't fucking use it, but like forever, it is this bright. Like you turn it on in the dark, and the dark barely goes anywhere, is fucking pointless. But it never seems to fully run out of batteries. And, you know, you take the batteries out, and it weighs like half an ounce. It's like nothing. You put the batteries in, and then all of a sudden you could club a burglar to death with it. Because those are them big-ass batteries that you only buy when you need to fucking put more batteries in this son of a bitch. Anyway, the old flashlight, fuck you, you suck. Oh my God, another thing that's just around. The unlabeled spray bottle that for all you know was left by some former tenant or other. Why don't we get rid of this shit? This is shit. We should get rid of it. But then we think like, I don't know, what if it's fucking battery acid or some shit? And I'm not supposed to throw it away. And then you're like, it's not doing any harm under the cabinet. And then you just fucking leave it. And then when you move, the next motherfucker is like, well, I don't want to throw it away. It might be battery acid or some shit. So, you know, you just keep this fucking thing forever, and it's unlabeled. Nobody knows what the fuck it is. Anyway, show's over. No closure. This program was made possible by Igneous and Gertrudina Buttcomer Foundation. Promotional considerations provided by Ralph Morgan's Extra Strangly Snakes, the Lonely Ass Librarians Guild, Grandpappy True Real's Foul-Smelling Balms and Gruels, and the one and only True God. This program was directed and performed by Rem Pemberton. That's me. I'm Rem Pemberton of the Clemson Pembertons. Did I say that? I don't even think I introduced myself in this episode. I didn't even say episode in this episode. I'm losing my fastball. That's for goddamn sure. It stinks. Written by Braxton White Guy. He stinks. And that's his actual fucking face. He uses graying creams. We all know it. You use graying creams. Nobody's that gray naturally. You fucking liar. Theme song by the Out of Tuners. Oh, I didn't even play the theme song. Shit. Do you want to hear the theme song? You might not even know it, because like a lot of people have joined this channel since I did one of these last. Here's what the theme song sounds like. It sucks. These guys are the worst.
This has always been the theme song. This has always been the theme. This has always been the theme song. This has always been the theme.
Cha. You know, the cha is the only good bit. The cha is the only good bit of that entire thing. A presentation of Non-Sober Badger Productions, always and every time. A subsidiary of the large, boring-sounding corporation with surprisingly questionable business practices. Lawful Asset Holdings Incorporated. A branch of the intentionally vague corporation whose purpose may never be known. The Blaine Group. And communism. Not dead yet, suckers. Communism appears courtesy of the need for a new American labor movement. The American labor movement. It's like politics, but it's relevant to your actual life. The American labor movement would like to remind you that if you don't like the results of unbridled capitalism, you should vote to try something else. And that's fucking true, my dude. Hey, anyway, people, thank you for being here for this one. What a weird time I'm living in, but hopefully, eventually, I won't live here anymore and I'll be somewhere else with a new job, hopefully. But if not, buy my book. It's called Hempen Verses and by Dr. Phineas Monroy. Yeah, I use a lot of pseudonyms. But yeah, I have a book. Hold up, I'll bring it up. Hempen Verses, poems written whilst high on marijuana, December 2021 to October 2022. Dr. Phineas Monroy's first book of speculative poetry. If you made it this far, please help a dude out because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what life holds for me in the near future. We are jumping out into the unknown without a net because we have to leave this place because we will not stay here and let our lives be threatened just for, standing up for transgendered kids. I don't want to deal with that. Like at a certain point, like I have loved standing up for people and I've done it many times and I love being the light in the darkness for those kids who need it the most. But at a certain point, like I have to think about myself and my family, and I think that time has come. Anyway, so yeah, if you want to buy a book of poetry and you haven't purchased one yet, you could, and it would help me. But whatever. Let's not drag this thing out forever. Anyway, people, that'll do it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Thank you for your support and everything that you are and do and be. Okay, bye.